Hi, YouTube. Please excuse my lighting. I figured, well, it's better just to do it. I do have a light on, but with the sunlight from outside, it's a little, well, just a moment. Maybe I can fix it a little bit. Yeah, let's see. I'll be right with you. Yeah, I don't know. Maybe not. A little better, I think. I'm going to share, I had shared some information with an author of Irreversible Damage. Um, Abigail Shire is how you say her last name, I believe. She was speaking about her book at Hillsdale College, and the questions at the end were just as interesting as her speech. Um, and some tips and that type of thing, how to help the youth in our society, around the world, and the facts and the data behind the operations and the um, medicine and different things that are offered to these children. Like, for instance, in the state of Oregon, um, a 15-year-old girl, without her parents' permission, can go and have her breasts removed. And other states are giving free testosterone to 15-year-olds in some states without their parents' permission. This is beyond crazy as far as I'm concerned. I mean, my concern is for the kids because I know through life we change our minds, and that's it's just part of life. But kids and young people don't look at it like that, and that's the danger. I mean, if they're putting their bodies in harm's way. Oh, and I misspoke yesterday. I said if you aren't like in a heterosexual, then you're in a homosexual relationship. Oh, well, it could be bisexual, but you know, I am sure you understand what I mean with all the other pronouns and whatever. You still are who you are, and that's gender. That is not sex. The sexual act doesn't necessarily have to do with gender, I guess is my point. If I'm wrong, tell me I'm wrong. Tell me how I'm wrong. You know, I'm not going into this newfangled pronouns, him, she, them, they, whatever. No, I'm not. If you're a girl and you're attracted to girls and boys, then we all know, or vice versa with the boys. So all these other titles and labels are totally unnecessary and extremely silly. To me, it's a bunch of narcissists saying that I am going to make you call me what I want you to call me, even if it isn't logical. And that is a lot like even a kid saying that they're now pangender or something, like, haha, mom, and you can't do nothing about it because the um, world, as far as the judges that are ran by the cabal, have court cases that tell you that you have to address me by my pronouns. Well, I'm going to tell you something, people. There's a thing on this planet that we used to do when I was a youngster, and that's address people in their homes, like if it was Jones, Mr. and Mrs. Jones. You know, we didn't use their first names. We gave them the respect that they're due. How many times have you answered the phone um, for your spouse and heard, could I speak with Mrs. So and so, or could I speak with Mr. So and so? That's a part of our culture that is going away, that really should come back as far as respect for the family unit that is slowly dissipating. Well, not slowly, like way fast now compared to what it used to be. It was a given that we did not call our friends by parents by their first name unless we were instructed other words. A lot of times that would be like a single parent home, usually the mother, and then the friends of that child would call the mother by her first name, was probably more comfortable for her than calling her former married name. And that's what I assume a lot of this started with that. And thank you to the Catholic Church making it for them not a sin to get a divorce, depending and how things were written. But if you're a faithful person and if you've been betrayed, then it is written where that's compensated for in the scriptures. So, but for everybody just to have free reign, what if you had to pay for a wedding like you did a divorce? Wouldn't that be a trip? I wonder how many people would actually sign those papers if you had to pay thousands of dollars just to get married to somebody. That'd change a lot of that, wouldn't it? I'm sure it would. So, if I get cut off, I love you all. Thank you for joining me. Just in case, and I'll try and finish a sentence where I don't leave you hanging, or I'll write it in the comments or something. I do have quite a bit to do yet today. I've been cleaning my laundry room and been outside and a couple different things already today, and I have a lot left to do. So I wanted to get this made and uploaded unless I got too tired to finish what I was trying to get across to people, that there's ways that we can talk to children that may not, if it, and it is said, and I believe this with all my heart, if you teach your children the Word of God when they're young, they won't stray from it when they're older. And it might look like it in between, but you will still have instilled that in that child. And now, with the advent of every word you could conceivably think of with the definitions at your fingertips and stuff, even the confusion that's within the scriptures can be not only decoded but deciphered properly, so people get, like Doug said too, and he was sort of laughing, all you got to do is change one word in a whole book and it changes the whole context of that book. Just one word. Amazing, right? But it's true. So, being like definitive on our beliefs. I mean, we know, okay, there's God, we know there's good, evil, and whatever, but the finer details of things like who did what and who said what, where, when, these are the things in our history that were passed down word of mouth. And we don't actually have a true representation of a lot of those things that have been covered up like that. So that's a lot of what I see out here and what's going on. I try to share the most informative people that I can, that I believe are speaking the truth to the best of their knowledge. And if there's something that I looked at, that I see that they may have overlooked, or a word that they don't know the deeper meaning of it, I'll try and interject that for people and just say, hey, look, this is that also, um, if you see what I'm saying. I have a lot of videos with meanings of words, and I do that a lot on Facebook too. It's a friend of mine asked, and it was a joke. He was joking. Why are mason jars called? Why are all mason jars called masons? And I wrote, because they're hermetically sealed. And then I gave him the definition of what hermetically, not just um, Hermes twice majestic or twice magical. Um, Not just that, but being sealed within its own container where air can't get in or out. And then another thing I wrote there was there's also jars that are called ball, Ball, for canning, which is a little suspect. So you got mason jars and you got ball jars. So how about Lilith jars? Do we have them too, or Lucifer jars? So I thought that was kind of funny, and I'm sure he'll get a laugh out of that because he, like I said, he was making a joke out of it, and it's actually true. That's why they're called that, to keep the air out of your canning jar when you seal it in your pressure cooker, or however you do it. You can pour the hot liquid into it and put the lid in the ring and seal it. If any of you have ever canned, you know what I'm saying. And if not, I think you got the idea, to keep the air out, like different types of machinery that you wouldn't want air getting into so it can work properly, or water, you know. Mm. Here's something that's hermetically sealed: the world. Hemisphere. Hermetically, like a hemi motor, is encaptured in a dome light like situation. The head of it, the head of the motor that sits on top, the hemi motor is hemispherical, just like our planet, with the atmosphere within that hemisphere. So, like the stratosphere, layers of our hemisphere, you know. And I used to know them all, and I can't recite them anymore, and I don't want to think about it. But my oldest son was always good at that stuff. But sometimes I remember things really well, and other things, like with short term memory things, I don't know if I've always been that way. I can't recall. I think I wasn't. I think that just started happening after I had my stroke. Um, Maybe not. There's some long-term memory things with numbers that I have hard time remembering too. Um, like dates of birthdays, not the date itself, but the year. I've told you before, because my kids are 3 years and 12 months apart. Well, actually, 11 months rather, and 2 weeks. So that, and it changed just 2 weeks later from one year to the other. So they're practically 4 years apart, but not quite. So sometimes I will get their birthdays not mixed up, but the date, the year they were born. I'm doing better now on that because I'm trying to put triggers in my mind where it will help me recall those types of things. But sometimes certain things just hit me like that, and that's just a part of my personal makeup, and I have tried to overcome that, and I can't. I don't know why. Maybe because Satan controls the flesh and he's trying to hurt my kids' feelings using me. And that could be part of it too. That's no joke. you know, Sometimes people hurt people using other people and they don't even realize it. Like you could repeat somebody, if somebody said something to me and it was directly pointed at me, and then but they said something else in that sentence that a person that may repeat it liked, they could take what was said from that other person and keep repeating it, not knowing that they're actually crushing another soul while they're doing it. That's been happening a lot lately. That's a little disturbing. It makes me sometimes want to switch somebody off, and then I'm thinking, well, do they actually know that this is just like stabbing me every time they say it? Or aren't they aware of that? But I think the first thing is true. They're aware of it, you know. And men seem to think it's really funny to hurt a woman that is telling the truth. They don't want to hear it because their truth is it's all manhood, it's all a male Christ spirit, and creation has nothing to do with the female. And that's their mindset. It really is. So it's a little hard to deal with sometimes. Even though I like and love people, it's like, I don't know. We'll just see about all this, because God told me stand strong and don't let these people bully me or bother me. Well, it does bother me, but I'm not going to let them bully me, and I'm not going to stop. I'm still going to stand firm on the Father, Son, and the Holy Spirit being the Trinity, which is the mom, the dad, and the baby. And until people get that part, I'm not going to shut up about it. So the Catholics know that. The Jews know that. The Jews are, well, I should say, the ones that study Judaism already know. For them, their Messiah already came. You know, that's how they view that. They're not waiting for Christ to return. They're not waiting for Satan to return. Everything's already here. And they know that. There's no waiting. It's just a matter of people getting together and working together and helping each other instead of playing these goddamn games that they're playing out here. And yeah, they are. So, and on this planet, there's people that will tell you we're a mixture of male and female, that the female can fertilize herself and give birth. Not on this planet, you know. That might be possible someplace else, but that does not happen here. They tried interjecting this and that and the mixture of sexes, and that's not what is going on. This is psychological. This is what's happening on this planet. That's why there's so many people destroyed, not knowing who they are because of all the bullshit that has been perpetuated on this planet right now. Like that. And I almost said perpetrated. And that's true too, because they're perpetrators of the lies. So I don't patronize that type of person. Although it is good to see who will and who does and why they do that. It's kind of like a wake up call for me. It's painful. I look at it and think, how can you do that? Isn't God speaking in your heart? Because he's surely speaking in mine. That's why I like President Putin. He says there's a mommy, a daddy, and a baby. And that's the traditional family. Well, you could call me a conservative or a far left for that, or if you want, or whatever you want to call me. But as a loving human being, I really don't care what you do personally unless it's affecting children. Then we have a problem. And we've got a problem. We've got a major problem on this planet that needs to be addressed without the sideshow Bob shenanigans that's going on. That's the trivial bullshit pulling everybody's attention away from what really needs to be addressed. And that's saving the children's minds and hearts and helping them to feel whole no matter what they're going through. So, yeah. I was surprised. We have Doug has one of his customers that came up and he wanted to bring a bumper up part of his truck that Doug's working on in his shop. So Doug went down and helped him carry it up the driveway because we still have plenty of snow on our driveway even after having it plowed. And the tractor still isn't entirely fixed because we needed this sunshine right now to warm things up so Doug could work outside. So, yeah, it's been a little hectic. And the rear end's going out of our truck, and our Mustang doesn't like to go through snow. So, and we got to be careful anyway because, like the bumper on that is fiberglass, you know. So you don't want to be running through snow with a fiberglass front end, you know. So, yeah. I really didn't get any answer to my question about how would a person talk to a young confused person that would hear somebody like I'll just say the name Jonathan Kleck perpetuating what the Vatican has with the Baphomet symbolization of giving birth to itself. That is not what that means. It's all spiritual. That's the transgender movement going on right now within human beings. They have to physically change themselves to become something else with surgery. It's not something that just happens, and men still do not give birth. You know, obviously, you know, you can change your body if you're a woman and say you're a man and say you gave birth, but that just makes you a liar. And these are the lies that are being pushed upon the youth that I need help with, and other mothers and parents want help with stopping this. You know, it's not about what the child thinks, it's how they feel, you know, and it's helping them comfort them. If you perpetuate a lie towards a youngster, I can clearly tell you you need to go to hell. That's a fact. If you can't stand up for what is truth, biological, honest truth for everybody on this planet, who the hell are you? That's what I want to know. And I might have to come against people that I admire in some respects that maybe don't have the same respect for me. So I'm out here to help the youth on this planet and the parents with those confused children or parents that have gone through hell for these types of situations in their lives that they should have never ever been confronted with, you know. And they say it's a man's world. Why are all the women wanting to be men? That's a good question, isn't it? pretty sad. Well, I won't say all of them. Excuse me, ladies. You know, I think some of you thoroughly enjoy being a woman or a girl, you know, so, and know who you are. You might have thoughts like, gee, if I was a man, maybe this would be easier or that. And men have them thoughts too, but to not let that, don't let it get you. Don't jump on a magic carpet and go riding away on that thought, because it's not biological truth, and that's it right there. The true science behind it, you know. And it really is important. If you could listen to this, Abigail and her book, and she lines out, she gives she's got it written down. She gives a brief what her book's all about for these college students, and it looked like some of the teachers too, perhaps. And I don't think you'll regret listening to it if you actually want to help people or yourselves. It's worth listening to, because we've got a lot of work to do to help this planet. And this is part of it. And it doesn't have anything to do with sex, it has to do with the author of confusion and who's confusing them and why they are confusing them to destroy them. And I hope you get that clear. I hope you understand that. I'm coming from a place of love, and I know a lot of people that are standing up for, say, like, for instance, the trans community. I'm sure a lot of you have love in your heart, and it's coming from a well meaning place. But there's something even like this that Abigail said, that, take for instance, like that Jenner that changed his gender. If he were to run for office, that she wouldn't have a problem with him in a public office. Well, I'm standing up once again all by myself and saying I would have a problem with that, because I would not want the younger generation, if he wants to dress like that and take hormones by himself, that's one thing. But when you're actually changing biology, the truth, when you change the truth in the eyes of the children, I got a problem with that. And that's where I'll stand with